Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 2019 animated science fiction film Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus.
I hardly recognize him anymore. He just sits there in that chair, getting grosser, smellier.
Hey, that's not fair. I haven't been in my chair for that long. I'm not that lazy. I do get out sometimes. Invader Zim is a feature-length film that is based on an early 2000s Nickelodeon cartoon that ran for 2 years. Now, I had never heard of Invader Zim until I watched this movie, so I came in completely fresh with the characters, completely fresh with the plot, and I don't know if that hurt my viewing experience, but I still thought this movie was pretty good. Now, I thought the characters of Zim and Dib were written really well. I thought they fed off each other pretty well, especially in the beginning of the movie. They almost have like this Magneto Professor X relationship where they are supposed to be villains. They're supposed to not like each other, but there also is like some moments where you do feel like maybe they care about each other at least a little bit. And I almost thought they were just two kids who were like playing at the roles that they were supposed to have, and they weren't actually serious. Like, Zim wasn't really an alien who was trying to take over the world, and Dib wasn't really this kid who is like the hero character who's the only one who can see him as an alien, because there's no real sense of urgency in this movie. There's no real sense of like tension. I really felt like that it was never going to happen. The plan that Zim had seemed to be really far-fetched, and I didn't really think that it was going to go anywhere. So this movie has a 100% fresh rating from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 91% fresh rating from the audience. I'm currently reviewing every movie that has a 100% fresh rating from the critics in chronological order, and then I will rank them from worst to best. So essentially, this movie, Zim is an alien, and he believes he was sent by the Tall Ones to Earth to infiltrate Earth and eventually destroy it. Dib is a character who is like a young character, like maybe early teens, but maybe like 10 or 11. I don't know. He seems pretty young. And somehow he's the only one who can see Zim as an alien. Now, I probably missed a lot of how that could happen by not seeing the actual cartoon series, but he is the only one who could see Zim as an alien, and he is trying to stop him, trying to thwart his domination of Earth. Now, in the very beginning of the movie, Zim is kind of nowhere to be seen. He's MIA. He's fallen off the face of the earth, and Dib has all these surveillance cameras all over town and at Zim's house, and he's pretty much locked himself in his room, and he's waiting for Zim to come home so he can capture him and stop him from taking over the earth. Now, because of this, Dib has become very much out of shape. He is almost like the South Park characters in the World of Warcraft episode, where they're just like overweight. They're just kind of leaning back in their chair, playing in the video games, and there's like no real physical activity going on or anything. And he's basically let himself go. While he turns his head away from the canvas for a couple seconds, his sister spots Zim, and he goes to confront him. When he confronts Zim, Zim doesn't recognize him because Dib is completely different. Like I said, he's gained a bunch of weight, and Zim really kind of like brushes him off like he doesn't matter, and he says that he has completed his first phase of taking over the earth, and now he's moving on to his second phase. Now, the only problem is that he can't remember what the second phase was. So he ends up trying for a very long time to remember what his second phase was, but he ultimately doesn't remember, so he ends up giving up, and he tells Dib that he is sad and depressed, and that he's not going to remember what phase 2 is. Dib decides that he's going to present Zim to the world as the alien to prove that he found the alien who's going to take over the world, and he's going to do this at his father, Professor Membrane's unveiling of this like bracelet that he has that has like powers of some kind. So when they get there, it ends up being a double cross by Zim, and he takes the bracelet and he modifies it so that it will take over the world. I don't want to give up too much of the plot here, but he modifies it in a way that it'll help him take over the world. And he is very excited by this, and he wants the tall ones to see what he has done. But the tall ones don't really care. In fact, they are very annoyed by Zim, and they want nothing to do with him, so they try to avoid him as much as they can. The only problem is that they're headed straight, like Zim made it so that the Earth is in their trajectory. Apparently, the tall ones only travel in a straight line, and Zim put the Earth into a straight line so that they're going to eventually meet Zim, and this is something that they don't want to do because they absolutely hate him. When he does this, Zim ends up opening this Florpus that will eventually suck in all the planets, including Earth, and completely destroy Earth and everyone on it. And it is up to Dib and Dib's father to try to stop Zim and to try to save the world. That's basically the entire plot of the movie. I thought the first half of this movie was definitely better than the second half. It has the most amount of comedy. I feel like it has the better relationship going on between the two characters of Dib and Zim. I thought, like I said, they played off each other really well. They were really funny. And then the second half of the movie, it seems like it's a little rushed almost. Some of the Phase 2 stuff I didn't think was particularly interesting or very well written, to be perfectly honest. But it has really sharp dialogue. The animation in this movie is absolutely spectacular. It's crazy because I've seen so many animated movies for this Rotten Tomatoes list, and they all have such different artwork, and I'm constantly amazed by how great the artwork is. Now, I will say I haven't seen like a new animated movie in a very long time. Like, it's just not, I mean, unless it's Pixar, I really don't watch that many animated shows or movies, but this animation just seems very crisp. I really enjoyed the colors, really pop really well. I thought they did a really good job with it. I wasn't too impressed with the ending. I think that they're leaving it open for a sequel. I believe I read that they're bringing the show back in 2024, or it came back in 2023 and they're doing another season. But I do believe this was supposed to be a launch pad to bring the series back because they felt like they didn't give a good enough ending to the show. I don't know if it ended abruptly, but they kind of wanted to see if they could do it, and more power to them. I mean, this isn't the only animated series that ran for a while and tried to come back. I know Beavis and Butthead did the same thing, but I don't really know how well they did because I didn't really follow that. But I thought this movie was good. Like I said, snappy dialogue. I thought the second half was kind of rushed. I thought they really lost their chemistry throughout the second half of the movie. The tall one stuff was really funny, though. I think that was probably the funniest parts of the entire movie was Zim's interaction with the tall ones, his idolizing of the tall ones and trying to seek their approval and trying to get in their good graces, and them just like not caring about him and actually like hating him. I don't know why that was. I'm assuming it's because he's an invader, but he's a child and maybe he's not a good invader. Now, the tall ones on this ship, they can just destroy a planet with like a push of the button. They could do whatever they want, and Zim actually has to like put in a lot of effort towards it. So maybe he's just not as good. He's not as technological as the tall ones, and they just don't want to be around him. But like I said, I thought this was a pretty good movie, pretty funny, great chemistry between the two characters, and I give it an 8 out of 10. I hope you join me for my next review, which is going to be Apocalypse Now Final Cut. Thank you. Have a great day.